He picked up the Mont Blanc pen, smirked at his wife, and signed his name with a flourish. He thought he was discarding a burden, a quiet, useless housewife who didn't fit his rising status in New York's high society. He laughed as the ink dried, telling his lawyer, "Finally, I'm free." He had no idea that the woman sitting across from him wasn't just Ava, the homemaker. She was the shadow CEO behind the very venture capital firm funding his company. With that signature, he didn't just end a marriage. He accidentally declared war on the world's youngest, most secretive tycoon, and she was ready to burn his world to the ground. The air conditioning in the conference room on the 44th floor of the Hudson Yards Tower was set to a sterile, shivering 65 degrees, but Liam haughtily loosened his tie as if he were sitting on a beach in Saint-Tropez. He looked at the woman sitting across the mahogany table. Ava. She looked small. That was what Liam always told himself. She was small, insignificant, a relic of his college days before his tech startup, Nebula Stream, had hit a valuation of $50 million. She was wearing that same beige cardigan he hated, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, looking every bit the exhausted housewife he had grown to despise. She stared at the papers in front of her, her hands folded in her lap, motionless. "Come on, Ava," Liam said, checking his Rolex, a submariner he'd bought with his first round of seed funding. "I have a meeting with the board in an hour. Let's not make this harder than it needs to be. You get the apartment in Queens, the Honda, and alimony for 2 years. It's generous. Honestly, it's charity." His lawyer, a sharp-faced man named Gregson, who smelled of expensive cologne and moral flexibility, slid the document closer to her. "It's a standard no-contest agreement, Mrs. Sterling. Liam keeps the equity in Nebula Stream. You get the liquid assets specified. A clean break." Ava didn't look up. She just reached into a tote bag, a worn canvas thing that Liam was embarrassed to be seen with, and pulled out a simple ballpoint pen. "You're sure about this, Liam?" Her voice was quiet, raspy, as if she hadn't used it in days. Liam laughed, a dry, barking sound. "Sure. Ava, look at us. I'm about to ring the bell at NASDAQ in a few years. You're baking sourdough and watching soap operas. We're in different stratospheres. I need a partner who understands the pressure of the C-suite. Someone like Jessica. Jessica. The vice president of marketing at his company. Leggy, blonde, and viciously ambitious. The woman he'd been sleeping with for 6 months. Ava flinched, just barely, but Liam caught it and smiled. He wanted it to hurt. He wanted her to know she was being replaced by a superior model. "Just sign the papers, Ava," Liam sneered, leaning back in his leather chair. "Don't drag this out. You're boring me." Ava looked up then. For a second, Liam felt a strange jolt. Her eyes, usually soft and yielding, were hard, flat, like the surface of a frozen lake. But the look vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by her usual passivity. She uncapped her pen. "Okay, Liam, if this is what you want." "It is," he said, picking up his own pen, a limited edition Mont Blanc. He signed his name with a wide, aggressive loop on the L. Liam Sterling. He pushed the papers toward the center of the table. Ava signed hers slowly. Ava Mercer. She dropped the Sterling immediately. "Done," Gregson said, snatching the papers before Ava could change her mind. "Copies will be sent to your respective emails by the end of the day. The divorce is effective immediately upon filing, which my paralegal is doing as we speak." Liam stood up, buttoning his suit jacket. He felt lighter, ecstatic. Finally. God, that felt like pulling teeth. He looked at Ava, who was slowly packing her pen back into her bag. "Look, Ava, no hard feelings, right? If you ever need, I don't know, a reference for a receptionist job or something, let me know. I still care, in a way. He was mocking her. He expected her to cry, to beg, or to scream. Instead, Ava stood up. She smoothed down her beige cardigan. Then, she reached into that same canvas bag and pulled out a sleek black folder. She tossed it onto the table. It landed with a heavy thud that echoed in the silent room. "What's this?" Liam asked, frowning. "A parting gift," Ava said. Her voice had changed. The rasp was gone. It was clear, cold, and commanding. "Open it." Liam glanced at Gregson, who shrugged. Liam flipped the folder open. The first page wasn't a legal document. It was a capitalization table, a breakdown of the shareholders of Nebula Stream. "I know my own cap table, Ava," Liam scoffed. "I own 51%. The rest is split between angel investors and Aurora Holdings." Aurora Holdings was the mysterious venture capital firm that had injected $5 million into his company last year, saving him from bankruptcy. He had never met the CEO of Aurora. He dealt only with intermediaries. "Read the second page," Ava said. She was standing straighter now. She seemed taller. Liam turned the page. It was a document of incorporation for Aurora Holdings, registered in Delaware 3 years ago. CEO and sole proprietor, Ava Mercer. The room went silent. The hum of the air conditioner seemed to roar in Liam's ears. He read the line again. And again. This is a joke," Liam stammered, looking up. "You? You're Aurora? That's impossible. You don't know anything about business. You dropped out of art school." "I dropped out of art school because I sold my first algorithm to a defense contractor for $12 million when I was 22, Ava said. She walked around the table, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor, a sharp, rhythmic sound that felt like a countdown. "I founded Aurora Holdings to invest in projects I found. Quaint. Like yours." Gregson, the lawyer, grabbed the papers, his face draining of color. "Mrs. Sterling. Ms. Mercer. If you are the majority shareholder of the primary investor." "I own 40% of his company through Aurora," Ava interrupted, her eyes locked on Liam. "And Liam, look at the divorce papers you just signed, specifically Clause 14B. Liam scrambled to grab the divorce decree he had just signed, laughing. He flipped to page 12. Clause 14B. The husband, Liam Sterling, hereby waives all rights to investigate, audit, or claim assets held by the wife, Ava Mercer, in any private entities, blind trusts, or holding companies formed prior to the marriage, acknowledging them as separate property in perpetuity. "You signed away your right to touch Aurora," Ava said, a ghost of a smile touching her lips. "But here is the kicker, Liam. Since you just divorced me, the conflict of interest waiver I signed as your wife, it's void." She leaned in close. He could smell her perfume, not the vanilla scent she usually wore, but something sharp, like sandalwood and steel. "As the CIO of Aurora Holdings, I am calling an emergency board meeting for Nebula Stream tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., she whispered. "The agenda is a vote of no confidence in the current CEO." Liam fell back into his chair, the Mont Blanc pen rolling off the table and hitting the floor. "You can't do that. I built this company." "You built a front," Ava said, picking up her canvas bag. "I funded the back end. I wrote the code that fixed your server crash last Christmas while you were drunk at a holiday party. I hired the CFO who saved you from tax fraud." She walked to the door. Gregson was shaking, realizing he had just let his client sign his own death warrant. Ava paused with her hand on the door handle. She looked back, and for the first time, Liam saw the Tycoon, the predator. "Enjoy the apartment in Queens, Liam," she said. "I hear the view of the skyline is lovely from the outside." She walked out, leaving Liam Sterling sitting in the freezing cold room, staring at the signature that had cost him everything. The elevator ride down from the 44th floor felt like a free fall. Liam's ears popped, but the pressure in his skull didn't alleviate. He stumbled out into the lobby of the Hudson Yards Tower, the marble floors gleaming under the recessed lighting. His phone buzzed. It was Jessica. Meeting with the board confirmed for 8 a.m. What is going on? Gregson just called me in a panic. He's resigning as corporate counsel. Liam stared at the screen. Gregson was resigning? The man had billed Nebula Stream $400 an hour to breathe air in their general direction. If he was running, the ship wasn't just sinking, it was already underwater. Liam dialed Jessica. Jess, listen to me. Ava has lost her mind. She's claiming she owns Aurora Holdings. Claiming? Jessica's voice was shrill. Liam, I just pulled the incorporation docs from the server. It's not a claim, it's a fact. The EIN matches the checks we used to pay for the server expansion last quarter. Your wife has been paying my salary for 2 years. She's a housewife, Jess. She bakes scones, Liam shouted, ignoring the stares of the security guards in the lobby. It's a proxy. She's a front for someone else. Maybe her dad left her money I didn't know about. I can fix this. I just need to charm the board. They love me. I'm the face of the company. The face is replaceable, Liam, Jessica snapped. The money isn't. Get to the office. Now. Liam ran to the curb and hailed a cab. He didn't have his company car. The driver had texted him 5 minutes ago, saying he had been reassigned by the majority shareholder. By the time Liam arrived at Nebula Stream's headquarters in Soho the next morning, he hadn't slept. He was wearing the same suit from the day before, now wrinkled and smelling of stale scotch. He marched past the reception desk. Mr. Sterling, the receptionist, a young girl named Sarah, squeaked. You can't go in there yet. The meeting. I'm the CEO, Sarah. Liam barked, pushing past her. He threw open the double-glass doors of the boardroom. The room was full. The entire board of directors was there. Usually these meetings were rowdy, filled with banter about golf handicaps and Hamptons rentals. Today, the silence was absolute. At the head of the table, where Liam usually sat Ava. She was unrecognizable. The beige cardigan was gone. In its place, she wore a sharp, charcoal-grey Tom Ford power suit that looked like it had been tailored to her body by lasers. Her hair, usually messy, was slicked back into a severe, elegant ponytail. She wore glasses, thick-rimmed, black, intimidating. She didn't look like a housewife. She looked like a predator who had just finished a meal. To her right sat Jessica. Liam's Jessica. Jess, Liam breathed, stepping into the room. What are you doing sitting next to her? Jessica didn't look at him. She was busy taking notes on an iPad. Ms. Reynolds is acting as the interim liaison for the marketing department during this transition, Ava said. Her voice was cool, amplified by the room's acoustics. Sit down, Liam. We were just discussing your severance. Severance? Liam slammed his hands on the opposite end of the table. I founded this company in a garage. You can't fire me. I own 51% of the common stock. Common stock, said a man to Ava's left, Arthur Pendleton, the oldest board member, and a man Liam had considered a mentor. Which carries no voting rights in operational restructuring when the company fails to meet the solvency clause of the Series B funding, a funding round provided by Aurora Holdings. Arthur looked at Liam with pity. Read the fine print, son. Clause 8A. If the CEO's approval rating drops below 60%, or if there is gross reputational risk, the Series B investor can trigger an immediate leadership override. Reputational risk? Liam laughed hysterically. I'm a golden boy. I'm on the cover of Forbes 30 under 30. You were, Ava corrected. She tapped a remote. The projector screen behind her lit up. It was a video, a grainy, shaky video taken from a cell phone. It showed Liam at a nightclub 3 nights ago. He was visibly drunk, standing on a table, shouting, "My wife! She's a placeholder, a boring little mouse. As soon as the IPO hits, I'm dumping her and buying a yacht. I'm the king of New York." The video cut to Liam grabbing a waitress and trying to kiss her, only to be shoved away. The boardroom was dead silent. "This was sent to the board anonymously last night," Ava said, "though, considering I own the nightclub, it wasn't hard to procure." Liam felt the blood drain from his face. You were spying on me." "I was protecting my investment," Ava said coldly. "And my investment is Nebula Stream, not Liam Sterling. The board has voted, Liam. It was unanimous." "Jessica," Liam looked at his mistress, "you voted against me." Jessica finally looked up. Her eyes were devoid of affection. They were calculating. She saw the writing on the wall. "It's business, Liam. You're a liability. Ava, Ms. Mercer, has outlined a vision for the next quarter that increases our valuation by 20%. You were projecting a loss." "You traitor," Liam whispered. "Security," Ava said, not even looking at him anymore. She was already reading the next document on her pile. 2 large men in dark suits stepped out from the shadows of the corner. Liam recognized one of them. It was his own personal bodyguard, Mike. "Mike?" Liam asked, his voice trembling. "Come on, man. We've been through everything." "Sorry, Mr. Sterling," Mike said, his face impassive. "Check cleared from Aurora this morning. You know how it is." They grabbed Liam by the arms. He didn't fight. He was too in shock. As they dragged him toward the door, he looked back at Ava. She was sipping a glass of sparkling water, listening to Arthur Pendleton discuss quarterly projections. She didn't even watch him leave. The doors closed, sealing him out of the world he thought he owned. The sidewalk outside the office was hot, smelling of exhaust and garbage. Liam stood there, holding a cardboard box that security had shoved into his hands. It contained a stapler, a photo of himself shaking hands with Elon Musk, which he now realized was probably a cardboard cutout he'd posed with at a conference, and a dead succulent. He checked his phone, his company email, access denied. His Slack account, deactivated. He opened his banking app. He needed a drink, a very expensive drink. Bank of America, account frozen. Contact branch immediately regarding pending litigation. "Litigation?" Liam muttered. "What litigation?" He called the bank. After 20 minutes of aggressive hold music, a representative came on. "Mr. Sterling, yes. We received a freeze order regarding the division of assets in the divorce filing Sterling versus Mercer. Until the forensic accountant completes the audit of joint liabilities, all liquid assets are held in escrow." "Joint liabilities?" Liam screamed at the traffic on Broadway. "I have no liabilities. I'm rich." "Sir, according to the file, there is a pending investigation into misappropriation of company funds for personal use, specifically a penthouse apartment in Tribeca, rented under the company name for a Ms. Jessica Reynolds. Until that is cleared, the accounts are locked." Jessica. He had paid for her apartment with the company credit card. He had told her it was a business expense. Ava knew. She knew everything. Liam threw his phone into the cardboard box. He had $10 in his wallet. He walked. He walked for 40 blocks, sweating in his wrinkled suit, until he reached a high-end members-only club in Midtown called the Obsidian. He was a founding member. They would let him in. He could put a tab on his house account. He walked up to the heavy oak doors. The doorman, a guy named Silas, who Liam had tipped hundreds of dollars over the years, stepped in front of him. "Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling," Silas said, but his tone was different, stiff. Hey, Silas, need a table in the back and a bottle of Macallan 25. I'm afraid I can't do that, sir, Silas said, crossing his arms. What? My membership is paid up through next year. Your membership was revoked an hour ago, Silas said. By the owner. The owner? I know the owner. Carter puts me on the VIP list every weekend. Not Carter, sir, Silas said, lowering his voice. The majority stakeholder of the hospitality group that bought the Obsidian last month, Aurora Holdings. Liam stumbled back as if he'd been punched. Ava. She owned his office. She owned his bank accounts. She even owned his sanctuary. Is there anywhere in this city she doesn't own? Liam whispered. Silas looked sympathetic for a moment. She left a message, sir, in case you stopped by. He handed Liam a small, cream-colored envelope. Liam tore it open. Inside was a single card with Ava's elegant handwriting. Try Joe's Pizza on 4th. Cash only. Liam crumbled the note in his fist. He wanted to scream, but he was too exhausted. He turned and walked away, the shame burning hotter than the sun. Desperate, he called Carter. Carter was his best friend, a hedge fund manager who drove a McLaren and had connections everywhere. If anyone could help him fight Ava, it was Carter. Carter, pick up! Liam hissed into his phone as he huddled in the doorway of a closed shop. Liam? Carter's voice sounded tinny. There was loud music in the background. Look, man, now isn't a good time. Not a good time. My life is imploding. Ava, she's Aurora. She's destroyed me. I need a loan, Carter. Just 50 grand to get a lawyer. Gregson bailed. There was a pause on the line. Then a sigh. Liam, look, you need to check the news. I don't care about the news. Check Bloomberg, Liam. Right now. Liam hung up and opened the browser on his phone with shaking fingers. The headline on Bloomberg was in bold, black letters. The silent tycoon speaks, how Ava Mercer built a billion-dollar empire while her husband played CEO. There was a picture of Ava. She wasn't looking at the camera. She was walking out of the Nebula Stream building, wearing that grey suit, surrounded by reporters. She looked powerful, mysterious. Liam scrolled down to the article. In an exclusive statement, Aurora Holdings revealed that for the past 5 years, they have been the silent architects behind some of tech's biggest successes. Ava Mercer, the reclusive genius behind the firm, stepped into the light today after ousting her husband, Liam Sterling, from Nebula Stream, citing gross incompetence and fiscal irresponsibility. The article continued. I built Nebula Stream to test a hypothesis, Ms. Mercer said in a press release, that a company with a strong product can succeed even with a figurehead CEO who focuses more on lifestyle than leadership. Unfortunately, the data proved that toxic leadership is a variable that cannot be overcome. We are correcting that today. She called him a variable, a failed experiment. She played me, Liam whispered to the empty street. For 5 years. She wasn't just my wife. She was my boss, and I didn't even know it. His phone rang again. It was Carter. Did you read it? Carter asked. Yeah, Liam said, his voice hollow. Carter, please. I need help. I can't, Liam, Carter said, his voice dropping to a whisper. Aurora Holdings is the anchor investor in my hedge fund. If I help you, she pulls her capital. My fund collapses. I'm sorry, man. You're radioactive. The line went dead. Liam sat down on the dirty curb. He looked at his Mont Blanc pen, still clipped to his pocket. The pen he had used to sign the divorce papers. The pen he had laughed with. He took it out and looked at it. It was worth $1,000. He stood up and walked into a pawn shop across the street. How much for the pen? Liam asked the guy behind the counter, a heavy-set man with grease stains on his shirt. The man squinted at it. $50. It's a Mont Blanc. It's worth $1,000. $50, the man repeated. Take it or leave it. Liam looked out the window. On the digital billboard across the street, a news ticker scrolled by. Nebula Stream stock jumps, 15% following ousting of CEO Liam Sterling. Market reacts positively to new leadership. Even the market liked her better than him. I'll take the 50, Liam said. He walked out of the pawn shop with two $20 bills and a 10. He bought a slice of pizza at Joe's on 4th. It was greasy and cold. As he ate, standing on the corner, a black town car pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down. It wasn't Ava. It was Gregson, his former lawyer. Get in, Liam, Gregson said. You fired me, Liam said, chewing slowly. I did, Gregson said. But someone hired me to give you a ride. She wants to see you. Who? You know who. Liam hesitated. He had nothing left. No dignity, no money, no friends. He opened the door and got in. Where are we going? Liam asked. Gregson didn't look at him. The Hamptons. The summer gala is tonight. Everyone who is anyone will be there. I'm not dressed for a gala, Liam said, gesturing to his ruined suit. That's the point, Gregson said. She wants the world to see the difference. The car sped off toward the highway, carrying Liam toward his final humiliation. The drive to the Hamptons took 3 hours of suffocating silence. Gregson refused to speak, scrolling through his phone with the detached air of a man who had already moved on to more profitable clients. When the Blacktown car finally crunched over the gravel driveway of the estate, the sun had set, and the grounds were illuminated by thousands of fairy lights strung through the ancient oak trees. This wasn't just a party. It was the Sterling Mercer Foundation annual gala. Or at least, it used to be. As Liam stepped out of the car, he saw the new signage projected onto the side of the sprawling white mansion, the Aurora Initiative. Liam looked down at himself. His suit was stained with sweat and city grit. He hadn't shaved. He smelled of cheap pizza and desperation. Around him, the elite of the East Coast stepped out of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces, women in haute couture gowns, men in tuxedos that cost more than Liam's first car. He tried to straighten his tie, but it was hopeless. "Why am I here, Gregson?" Liam hissed. "To be the entertainment?" "To close the loop," Gregson said, handing his keys to a valet. "Go inside. She's waiting." Liam walked up the grand staircase. He expected security to stop him. He wanted them to stop him. Instead, the head of security, a man who had once thrown a paparazzi to the ground for getting too close to Liam, simply nodded and opened the velvet rope. "Right this way, Mr. Sterling." The ballroom was a sea of champagne and diamonds. A string quartet played softly in the corner. As Liam entered, a hush rippled through the room. It started near the door and spread outward like a contagion. Heads turned. Whispers hissed behind manicured hands. "Is that him? Look at his suit. I heard she left him with nothing. I heard he didn't even know she was the boss." Liam kept his head high, fueled by a sudden burning spike of anger. He scanned the room for her. He found her near the ice sculpture. Ava was wearing a dress of midnight blue velvet that left her shoulders bare, a diamond necklace resting against her throat that looked heavy enough to anchor a ship. She was laughing, a genuine throaty laugh he hadn't heard in years, while chatting with a man Liam recognized instantly. It was Peter Thiel. Not a lookalike, the actual billionaire investor. Ava touched Thiel's arm lightly, made a point that caused the billionaire to nod in agreement, and then she turned. Her eyes locked onto Liam across the room. The smile didn't fade, but it changed. It became theatrical. She raised her champagne flute. The room went deadly silent. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ava's voice carried effortlessly, "if you'll indulge me for a moment." She walked toward the center of the room, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. She stopped 10 feet from Liam. "I'd like to introduce you to the man who made Aurora Holdings possible," Ava said. "Not because of his business acumen, but because his underestimation of me was the greatest motivator I could have asked for." A few people chuckled nervously. "Liam," Ava said, her voice dropping to a conversational tone that was somehow louder than a shout. "I invited you here because I realized we forgot to settle one asset, the patent for the compression algorithm in Nebula Stream." "I wrote that code," Liam shouted, his voice cracking. "That's mine." "Actually," Ava said, signaling to a waiter who handed her a microphone, "you wrote the interface, the back-end compression? You outsourced that to a freelancer on Upwork 5 years ago. Coder girl, yet. Remember?" Liam froze. He did remember. He had been too hungover to finish the sprint, so he hired a freelancer for $500 to patch the code. "That was me," Ava said. "I own the patent, Liam. I registered it under my maiden name before we even met. And since you just signed the divorce papers waiving rights to all pre-marital assets, Nebula Stream's core tech belongs to Aurora." You set me up," Liam stammered. "From the beginning." "I didn't set you up to fail, Liam. I set you up to succeed," she said, stepping closer, her eyes blazing. "I gave you the money. I gave you the code. I gave you a home. All I asked for was respect. And instead, you bought a penthouse for your mistress with my money and laughed while you signed me away." She turned to the crowd. "Let this be a lesson to every founder in this room. Check your cap table and treat your partners well. You never know when the silent partner is the one holding the gun." The applause was thunderous. It was a humiliation ritual. They weren't clapping for justice. They were clapping for the winner. And in this room, money was the only scorecard that mattered. Liam backed away, his face burning. He bumped into a waiter, sending a tray of champagne crashing to the floor. The sound of breaking glass was the final punctuation mark on his life as a tech mogul. He turned and ran. He pushed through the heavy doors onto the terrace, gasping for air. The cool night ocean breeze hit his face, but he felt like he was burning alive. "Brutal," a voice said from the shadows. "Absolutely theatrical." She always did have a flair for the dramatic. Liam spun around. A man was leaning against the stone balustrade, smoking a thin cigar. He was older, perhaps in his 50s, with silver hair and a suit that looked sharper than anything inside. "Who are you?" Liam snapped. "Here to laugh too?" "Hardly," the man said, stepping into the light. "I'm the guy who just lost $100 million because your ex-wife decided to tank your stock price to prove a point." He extended a hand. "Sebastian Cole, CEO of Vanguard Dynamics." Liam hesitated. Vanguard was Nebula Stream's biggest competitor. They were the Goliath to his David, or rather, to Ava's David. "What do you want?" Liam asked. "I want to stop her," Sebastian said, taking a drag of his cigar. "Ava Mercer is dangerous. She's not just a VC, Liam. She's consolidating the market. She just bought the supply chain for silicon chips in Taiwan. She's building a monopoly, and she used you as the distraction while she did it." Sebastian leaned in. "She humiliated you. She took your company. She took your dignity. Are you just going to let her walk away with it?" "What can I do?" Liam laughed bitterly. "She owns the patent. She owns the board. I have $50 and a pawn shop receipt." "You have access," Sebastian said. "You were the CIO for 5 years. You have biometric data, old passwords, back doors she thinks are closed. She revoked my access. To the network," Sebastian corrected, "but not to the physical archives. I know for a fact that Nebula Stream keeps a hard copy server backup in a secure facility in Jersey. Legacy protocol. If someone were to introduce a localized virus into that server, it would corrupt the compression algorithm she loves so much. The stock would tank, investors would panic, Aurora would lose billions. That's corporate sabotage, Liam whispered. That's prison time. Only if you get caught, Sebastian smiled, his teeth white and predatory. And I have a private jet waiting at Titterboro. You do the job, I fly you to a non-extradition country with $5 million in crypto. You start over. You win. Liam looked back through the glass doors. He saw Ava dancing with Peter Thiel, looking radiant, untouchable. She had erased him. Why me? Liam asked. Because, Sebastian said, flicking his cigar ash over the balcony. No one suspects the ex-husband who was just publicly destroyed. They think you're broken. They think you're harmless. Liam looked at his hands. They were shaking. Not from fear, but from rage. I'm not harmless, Liam said. Good, Sebastian said. Then let's go take back what's yours. The facility in Jersey was a nondescript concrete block in an industrial park, surrounded by chain-link fences and weeds. It was raining. A cold, miserable drizzle that soaked Liam to the bone as he crouched behind a dumpster. Sebastian sat in the dry warmth of a black SUV a block away, communicating via an earpiece. Security shift changes in 2 minutes. Sebastian's voice crackled in Liam's ear. The guard is lazy. He takes a smoke break at the back entrance. That's your window. I can't believe I'm doing this, Liam muttered, pulling his hood up. He was wearing black mechanic's coveralls Sebastian had provided. He felt ridiculous, like he was in a bad spy movie. Focus, Liam. Do you want to be the victim or the villain? History remembers villains. It forgets victims. The back door opened. A security guard, a heavy-set man named Ralph, who Liam had actually bought donuts for once, stepped out, lighting a cigarette. He leaned against the doorframe, checking his phone. Liam waited until Ralph turned his back to shield his lighter from the wind. He slipped through the gap in the door, silent as a ghost. Inside, the server room hummed with the sound of cooling fans. It was a cathedral of data. Rows of blinking blue lights stretched into the darkness. Okay, I'm in, Liam whispered. Where is the legacy drive? Row 4, rack B, Sebastian directed. It's air-gapped. That means it's not connected to the internet. That's why Ava couldn't remotely lock you out of it. It requires a physical key. I don't have a key. You have your thumb, Sebastian said. The biometric lock on the legacy drive was installed 4 years ago. You were the primary admin. Ava never physically came here, did she? No, Liam realized. She hated Jersey. He walked to row 4. There it was, a heavy steel box with a fingerprint scanner. Liam placed his thumb on the glass. His heart hammered against his ribs. Please work. Please work. Beep. Access granted. The door clicked open. I'm in, Liam breathed. He felt a rush of adrenaline. He still had power. He still mattered. He pulled the USB drive Sebastian had given him from his pocket. I just plug this in, plug it in, wait for the green light, and walk away, Sebastian said. The virus will overwrite the core kernel. By morning, Nebula Stream will be a brick. Liam hesitated. He looked at the servers. This was his life's work. Even if Ava had written the code, he had built the company. He had hired the staff. He had picked the logo. He had sold the vision. Destroying this was like burning down his own house to kill a spider. Liam? Sebastian's voice was sharp. Don't get sentimental. She stole it from you. Yeah, Liam said, hardening his jaw. She did. He reached out to insert the drive. Suddenly, the lights in the server room went from cool blue to blinding white. The overhead floodlights snapped on. "I wouldn't do that, Liam," a voice echoed through the room. Liam spun around, dropping the USB drive. Standing at the end of the aisle wasn't security. It was Jessica. She was wearing a trench coat and holding a pistol. It wasn't pointed at him, but it was held with a terrifying familiarity. "Jess?" Liam gasped. "What are you doing here? Did Ava send you?" Jessica walked slowly down the aisle, her heels clicking on the metal grating. She stopped 5 feet away. She kicked the USB drive away with her boot. "Ava didn't send me," Jessica said. "I'm not working for Ava, Liam. I never was." "But the board meeting. You voted against me." "I voted for the winner," Jessica shrugged. "That's what spies do." "Spies?" Liam blinked. "You really are dense, aren't you?" Jessica sighed. "Who do you think introduced you to Sebastian Cole at the gala? Who do you think tipped Sebastian off that you would be vulnerable?" Liam's mind raced. He hadn't met Sebastian by accident. "You work for Sebastian?" "I work for Vanguard Dynamics," Jessica said. "I've been a corporate espionage agent for 3 years. My assignment was to infiltrate Nebula Stream, get close to the CEO, and find a way to dismantle the company from the inside." She laughed, a cruel sound. "I thought it would be hard. But you made it so easy. You were so desperate for validation. All I had to do was stroke your ego, and you handed me the keys to the kingdom. The apartment? The embezzlement? I set that up. I forged the invoices." Liam felt the room spin. You framed me." "I nudged you," Jessica corrected. "You signed the checks. But Ava, she was the problem. She was too smart. She caught on to the accounting discrepancies before I could bury the company. So we had to go to Plan B." "Plan B?" "You," she pointed the gun at him. "The disgruntled ex-husband destroys the server farm in a fit of rage. Vanguard swoops in to buy the IP for pennies on the dollar, and you go to prison for 20 years. Sebastian said he'd fly me out." "Sebastian lies," Jessica said. "There is no jet, Liam. The police are already on their way. We tipped them off 5 minutes ago. You're the patsy." Liam looked at the woman he thought he loved. She was a stranger. "Why are you telling me this?" Liam asked. "Because," Jessica smiled, raising the gun. "You're not going to be arrested, Liam. You're going to be found dead. A suicide. Distraught CEO can't handle the fall. It's a cleaner narrative." She clicked the safety off. "Goodbye, Liam." Click. The lights went out. Not just the floodlights, the server lights too. Total, absolute darkness. "What the?" Jessica shouted. A sound pierced the dark, a high-pitched whine, followed by the thwip of something moving through the air. Jessica screamed. The gun clattered to the floor. "Who's there?" Jessica yelled, panic in her voice. A red laser dot appeared on Jessica's chest, then another on her forehead. "Step away from him, Jessica," a voice commanded from the speakers overhead. It wasn't Sebastian. It was Ava. "Ava," Liam whispered into the dark. "Stay down, Liam," Ava's voice echoed, sounding like the voice of God in the machine. "I told you. I protect my investments." The emergency lights bathed the room in a dull red glow. At the end of the aisle, standing where Jessica had been, were 3 figures clad in tactical gear. But the person leading them wasn't a soldier. It was Ava, wearing a headset and holding a tablet. She tapped the screen. "Police are actually on their way," Ava said calmly to Jessica, who was now being held down by 2 of the tactical officers. "But they're coming for you. Industrial espionage, conspiracy to commit murder, and fraud. I have the recordings from Sebastian's car. Nice bugging technology, by the way. I bought the company that makes it last week." Ava walked up to Liam. She looked at him, cowering on the floor in a mechanic's jumpsuit, betrayed by everyone he trusted. She didn't offer him a hand. She just looked down with a mix of pity and exhaustion. "You really are a magnet for trouble, aren't you?" she said. "You saved me," Liam choked out. "After everything I did." "Why?" Ava looked at the server racks. "I didn't do it for you, Liam. I did it because you're the only one who knows the encryption key to the legacy drive. And I forgot the password." She knelt down, eye level with him. "Also," she whispered, "I haven't finished destroying you yet, and I don't let anyone else play with my toys." The interrogation room wasn't at a police station. It was a glass-walled conference room in a high-rise overlooking Central Park, the headquarters of Aurora Holdings. Liam sat at the table, wrapped in a blanket, clutching a mug of hot coffee. He watched Ava pace back and forth. She was still wearing her gala gown, but she had kicked off her heels and was walking barefoot on the plush carpet. She looked fierce, like a mythological warrior taking a break between battles. "So," Liam said, his voice raspy, "Jessica is in FBI custody," Ava finished without looking at him. "She's cutting a deal. She'll give up Sebastian Cole to save herself. Corporate espionage carries a 10-year minimum sentence. Jessica isn't built for prison orange." "And Sebastian?" "He's insulated," Ava said, stopping to look out the window. "He operates through shell companies and proxies. Even with Jessica's testimony, he has an army of lawyers. He'll claim she went rogue. He'll claim he never met you." She turned to Liam. "Unless we give them something better." Liam looked down at his coffee. "I have nothing, Ava. You took everything. Remember?" "I didn't take your memory, Liam," she said, sitting down opposite him. "Sebastian approached you because he thought you were weak. He thought you were a scorned ex-husband who would burn the house down. But he made a mistake. He let you into his circle." "For 5 minutes," Liam argued. "In a car." "He gave you a drive," Ava said. "The virus. Do you still have it?" Liam patted the pocket of his mechanic's coveralls. "Jessica kicked it. But I think I picked it up when the lights went out." He dug into his pocket and pulled out the small silver USB drive. Ava's eyes lit up. A genuine, terrifying smile spread across her face. "He wrote the code for this virus," Ava said, taking the drive carefully. "Sebastian is old school. He doesn't trust contractors with the dirty work. He writes his own exploits. If I can analyze the kernel of this virus, I can find his digital signature. It's like a fingerprint. It will link him to the attack on the server farm directly." "So you win again," Liam said, sinking back into his chair. "Hooray for Aurora." "We win," Ava corrected. Liam paused. "We? I need you to unlock it," Ava said. "The drive is encrypted. Sebastian told you the password when he gave it to you, didn't he? Or he keyed it to your biometrics." Liam remembered. In the car. Sebastian had made him hold the drive while he synced it. "Just in case you get cold feet, it only works for you." "It's biometrically locked to me," Liam realized. "I have to open it." "Exactly," Ava said. "If you open this drive for the FBI, you become a cooperating witness. You get immunity for the trespassing and the attempted sabotage. You walk away clean." "And if I don't?" "Then I hand you over to the NYPD for breaking into my server farm," Ava shrugged. "And I don't think you'll survive Rikers Island, Liam. You have very expensive skin." Liam stared at her. "You really have this all figured out." "I have to," she said softly. "I'm a woman in venture capital, Liam. I have to be 10 steps ahead just to stay in the race. While you were buying watches and posing for magazines, I was studying war strategy." She slid a laptop toward him. "Plug it in, Liam. End this." Liam looked at the laptop. He looked at Ava. For the first time in years, he didn't see a nagging wife or a boring partner. He saw a titan. And he realized that the biggest mistake of his life wasn't signing the divorce papers. It was underestimating the person sitting across from him at dinner every night. He plugged the drive in. He scanned his thumb. Access granted. Ava began typing furiously, code cascading down the screen. "Got him," she whispered. Embedded metadata matching Vanguard Dynamics internal servers. He was sloppy. She hit a key. "Sent to the Southern District of New York. The feds will be knocking on Sebastian's door before breakfast." She closed the laptop and looked at Liam. The adrenaline faded, leaving a heavy silence between them. "Thank you," she said. It was sincere. "Does this mean," Liam started, hope rising in his chest. "Does this mean we—" "No," Ava cut him off. Her voice was gentle but firm. "It doesn't." The fallout was swift and brutal, exactly how the media loved it. Sebastian Cole was arrested at Teterboro Airport, trying to board a flight to the Cayman Islands. The footage of him being led away in handcuffs was played on a loop on CNN. Vanguard Dynamics stock plummeted, and in a twist of irony, Aurora Holdings acquired their assets 3 weeks later for pennies on the dollar. Jessica Reynolds pleaded guilty and received 3 years in minimum security. She wrote a tell-all book from prison, but no one bought it. And Liam? 2 months after the server farm incident, Liam walked into a small coffee shop in Queens. He ordered a black coffee and sat by the window. He checked his watch, a Casio, reliable and cheap. A black town car pulled up outside. The door opened, and Ava stepped out. She entered the coffee shop, looking out of place in her tailored beige trench coat among the hipsters and students. She spotted Liam and sat down. "You look rested," Ava said. "I'm sleeping better," Liam admitted. "Queens is quiet. My apartment is small, but the view isn't bad. You were right about that." "I brought something for you," Ava said. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Liam flinched. "No more papers, Ava. I've signed enough papers." "Open it." Liam hesitated, then opened the envelope. Inside was a check. It wasn't for millions. It was for $150,000. "What is this?" Liam asked. "Seed money," Ava said. "A Series A for your new life. I don't want your charity." "It's not charity," Ava said, her eyes sharp. "It's an investment. I did an audit of Nebula Stream's early days, before the ego, before the drinking. You were a good product designer, Liam. The interface you built, the one you actually coded, it's still the industry standard. You have talent. You just lost your discipline." She pointed to the check. "That's enough to start a small consultancy or a design firm. Something real, something you build with your own hands. No venture capital, no board of directors. Just you." Liam looked at the check. It was a lifeline. "Why?" he asked, tears stinging his eyes. "I tried to destroy you." "And you failed," Ava smiled. "I don't punish failure, Liam. I correct variables. You were a bad CEO, but you might be a decent human being if you try." She stood up and buttoned her coat. "I won't see you again, Liam," she said. "I'm moving the headquarters to London next month. But good luck." She turned to leave. "Ava," Liam called out. She paused at the door. "You were the best thing that ever happened to me," Liam said, "and I was too blind to see it." Ava looked back. Her expression was unreadable for a moment, and then she offered a small, sad smile. "I know," she said. She walked out into the busy street. Liam watched her get into the car. He watched it drive away, disappearing into the traffic of the city she now owned. He looked down at the check. Then he looked at his notebook, where he had been sketching ideas for a new interface. Simple, clean, functional. He picked up his pen a cheap plastic ballpoint. He didn't flourish, he didn't smirk, he just wrote his name on the back of the check. Liam Sterling. He took a sip of his coffee. It was bitter, but it was hot. And for the first time in a long time, it tasted like a fresh start. And that is how Liam Sterling learned the hardest lesson of the business world. Never underestimate the person sitting quietly in the corner. He signed the papers laughing, but Ava Mercer had the last laugh, not out of spite, but out of sheer competence. It's a brutal reminder that in life and love, the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. If you enjoyed this story of betrayal, revenge, and redemption, please smash that like button. It really helps the algorithm. And if you want more stories about the hidden side of the elite, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a twist. What would you do if you found out your partner was your secret boss? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.